Yeah, it's been hard to bring myself to do this one. I don't know really why. There's something about the comfort, relaxed nature of it that I'm slightly worried about covering, because I don't want it to seem like there is nothing of interest here, but also I'm not that interested in it. Anyway, it's wrong screen. It is not, well, it is that, yeah, but we want to be over here. Hey, yeah, Aldous Harding. I am yet to fall in love with Aldous Harding. I have listened to Designer, which is a much, so far, I think, very well received album from 2019. I don't remember listening to Warm Chris, an amusing name though. And yeah, what she's doing, I think, is very low key. In a similar way to Mitski, the songs can be quite varied. There can be more up-tempo ones or more very relaxed ones. Strangely, more strangely than Mitski, Aldous Harding seems to use her voice to make very different sounds. Sometimes very sort of sweet sounding, and sometimes a bit darker. Across this album, it's quite curious in that respect. But there are a couple of songs on this album that I do quite a lot, and the first one is one of these I ate the most. I think this is a pretty interesting and cool jam. So let's have a listen. So let's just take that. Something similar to this. Now, the main harmonic feature that's going on here is that we get a G major to start with, and then halfway through that first bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, in the third beat, we get a B flat, which makes this more of a G minor, and then we get sort of affirmation of that mode straight after this with a sort of B flat 6 maybe. I don't think it's B flat major 7, and then an A minor 7 after that. So that's like, if we were in G minor, that's like our 3 chord and our 2 chord, maybe with more of a sort of Dorian-ishness with the A minor there, because it's not an A half diminished or anything like that. So anyway, the main thing that we've got here is some clear modal interplay course sex. So that's something we love. Let's just draw a line under that. Modal interplay, and this groove is going throughout the song. Sometimes we get that G major and sometimes we don't, which is a little bit of a curious one, but it's kind of, it's sort of tempting us in with this broad, enjoyable major comforting sound, and then immediately going against it, but to quite a comfortable, let's say G Dorian kind of feel after that. The other thing that's going on all the time at the beginning is this tick, 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 tick. Quite comfortable, quiet and unobtrusive percussion, just giving us those semiquavers, and it stops at the same time as the keyboard, which is there, so we get kind of, and it stops just abruptly. So an abrupt stop is another thing I reckon that we love about music. Abrupt stops, and this has them every second bar, which is fun. Abrupt stops. We're going to run out of space at this rate. Yeah, the ensemble is pretty comfortable, isn't it? It's basically a keyboard bass, maybe, although it could be played on the bottom of the keyboard, and then this drum sound. Yeah, there's actually two drum sounds. Actually, there's a kind of patter 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 patter, which could be on like a small skin drum, I suppose, just very light sounding. It could even be on like a table. And then there's a little bit more of a hi-hat doing the same rhythm. And putter, 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 right? There's actually no E there, so it's that kind of thing, sort of ambiguous chord. Not really an A chord because it doesn't have the fifth, it has the F instead, so it's maybe a bit like an F major chord, but it's got a lot of notes in it. It's not very clear. Okay, we've got another synth in, just going G, holding it through
not afraid.
all those chords, and that's now disappeared, as has the percussion as the vocal comes in.
Not afraid, like you're not gay.
Again, quite an abrupt stop to the vocal. You're not gay. After a long held note, that quick ending takes us by surprise. Sort of feels kind of funny because we've sort of set up an expectation of a long note, and there's no reason why we couldn't do that on You're Not Gay. But that isn't what happens. You're not gay. It's just short and to the point and abrupt, and then everyone sort of catches up and goes, oh, okay, we're meant to be stopped too.
You're not old, like I'm on the spectrum.
Same kind of thing, but a few more words. You're not old, like I'm on the spectrum. Simple melody, really just 3 notes and just moving downwards.
Every day you look up in my body, this heavy and heavier.
Yeah, all the first 3 the same, and then that last one sort of an inversion. It's heavy and heavier. No real long note there, but have has a bit more. Maybe that's a good word paint, if you like.
I was 9.
We've got a little bit more of the percussion, haven't we? Hang on, did the percussion disappear when the vocals came in?
Not afraid.
Sort of. It went down to just a very quiet bit.
You look up in my body, this heavy and heavier.
Do you hear how some of those G majors are not G majors there? That kind of thing. So it starts on that sustained second instead.
I was 9 when I left my body. A silver chair.
So this is the second verse. Similar kind of thing. I left my body. We actually give a bit more to body than the previous words, and I guess that reflects the seriousness of the line, or the, sort of emotional intensity. It certainly sticks out quite a lot, and there's not much difference other than that. We've got this da-da-da thing that unites all the lines, and then whatever comes after depends on how many words we have, how many syllables.
No regrets, just things that'll haunt me.
There's that other synth come in again. Slightly more sort of zzz, buzzy than the soft piano, electric piano sound.
Maybe I'll bury them.
There's a guitar, and that's really giving us our clear Dorian mode there. It does something like this, giving us the E there at the end, sort of working with the other things. But yeah, giving us uses that E unequivocally. So Dorian mode is what we've got here. We don't love any of the modes more than others, but we might write down a really rare mode if it came up. But Dorian is sort of like third most common mode. It sounds good though. It does sound a lot better than the standard ones.
You are through with me on your shoulders.
Quite fun how we had an extra vocal coming in there. The main vocal was down here. You are through, and then you are through up at the top. We've really limited the spectrum in which sounds are happening here. Even the drums, we haven't got our traditional like low kick or hi-hat really. I mean, it comes in a little bit, but even then it's muted, so it's a really small harmonic spectrum here. I think that's something we love as well. That's something that's pretty exciting in a song. Small harmonic spectrum. Yeah. Right. So it's all just in that sort of main hearing range, from like there to there. These 2 octaves is really where most things happen. Drums are slightly out of that. In fact, they're quite considerably out of that, but they're a lot lower than they normally are, those drums. And yeah, I don't even think we've got a low note there. Small harmonic spectrum. It's a pretty rare thing to have because it's actually quite exciting. Why have I put 2 T's in spectrum? I don't know. I hope it upsets somebody. It's quite unusual because we expect songs, and we're quite happy to have songs that are really dynamic and have big highs and big lows and big mids. But this really just has a lot of the low mids.
I feel the most.
Okay, so now we've got a proper octave melody, which is giving us that E again, so that's more of that Dorian note. Something like that. Yeah, it's not specifically matching our chords, but it does have the same sort of gear towards the second bar. So the first bar, and then the next bar has that change in it, which yeah actually gives us an E against the B flat in the bass, which is an interesting choice. We've still got the same rhythm, haven't we? We've still got the same pause in the rhythm every single second bar, which is interesting. We don't normally get things that are this connected with the theme. We normally have some kind of change up in a song, so it's fun.
Feel that I feel the most.
Yeah, there's also this like extending the top thing, giving us that G major to the B flat there. It's a lot stronger in that higher instrument there.
You are through.
Just there for a moment, and then we're back to a slightly different octave melody,
With me on your shoulders.
which is just there for that first bit. You are through with me on your shoulders. Yeah, this is a different melody to our previous section though, isn't it? It's not our ba-da-da, ba-da-da, is it? So is this our chorus?
I can prove that I ate the most 'cause I did.
Sounds like it. We've got the melody that uses the title. There we go. We've got the melody that uses the title here, so that would be a signifier of the chorus if ever there was one. So we're again on those higher notes there, but it isn't following the same contour as we had in our verse section. We've now got piano doing kind of the same thing as the electric piano. It's an interesting choice to add piano to electric piano, and you can hear that they don't quite match up nicely. They have very different timbres, but very similar playing styles, and so they're playing the same notes and they're sort of rubbing against each other in an unusual timbre clash. There's also just this one held long G, which seems to be going slightly sharp. Something like that. It's also up here, so that we're extending the harmonic range. And that's really the only thing that's going through that pause. That carries on. That buzzy synth again on the G.
You're smooth.
Yeah, so an interesting, it's an instrumental section, but normally in an instrumental section we would have something to replace the melody to give us, something to gravitate towards in terms of finding the interest. But really the main thing that's different about that section is this slightly out G that's going throughout it. That's fun. But very, very low-key fun. So I imagine some people would be totally put off by this kind of music.
Like she loved my father. Amen.
There it is still. I think it's even in a higher octave, and yeah, they're not quite in. I think this is a thing we love. It's dissonant octaves. That's going to look like pissonant. That is not what I have written. Dissonant. Because there's something special about when music uses intervals that don't exist in a 12-tone equal temperament system. Doesn't always sound like good, but good is such a basic concept in music. What we want to be able to do is sound scary, or sound exciting, or sound tense, or sound allergic, or whatever it might be. What we want to do is be able to use a wider selection of tools to instigate those feelings via listening to the music. Oh well, they might not do the same thing for everybody, but that held and coruscating volume level of this one particular slightly out note really makes it feel more tense in a way that is totally antithetical to the relaxed groove of the rest of the thing. There's a sort of ominous nastiness to it. And that wouldn't be the same if it was just a G. If it was just in tune, I think it needs to be slightly out.
Sometimes I eat till I vomit.
Interesting timbre again there. So could have been sometimes I eat till I, but sometimes I eat till I vomit. Just covering it in a strange way.
There's heavy and there's heavier.
We've actually got maybe a different timbre of drum come in there. Let's just hear that.
And there's heavier.
Yeah, so it's actually pitched. That maybe it has been the whole way through, but I have only just noticed. Right in the middle of our main bit of spectrum.
I'm 9 and I love my mommy.
We're getting some real clashes here from time to time between the B and the B flat. So that B was held there while we got from the piano, and that is what we call a false relation. No, it's not someone who pretends that they are your husband when they are not, let alone your mother. It's just when we have two of the same family, an F, that's a G, a B and a B flat at the same time. They clash, they inevitably clash very strongly, false relations. When you have a chord, like a G chord, a G has to have a major or minor. Well, it doesn't have to, but it can have a major or minor. And depending on which one we choose for that middle note, it makes it major or minor. But if we have both of them, then we've got a problem, because it doesn't sound major and it doesn't sound minor. It sounds like this uncomfortable thing in the middle. That's what false relations do. We can false relate other notes as well, but it's really mainly those two, because if we do something like this, where we've got the 5 and arguably we've got the flat 5, that could also be just the sharp 4, and then they wouldn't be false relations. We'd have to get another note in there to make it false relations. And then we're getting really, really dicey. But when we're dealing with thirds, we can kind of assume that it's a flat third and a normal third, because a sharp 9 would be super, super unusual. That said, that's how some people think of it. When they're doing Hendrix chords, it's a flat 9. I think that's dumb. I think that it's a false relation all the time. Anyway, not very important, but we're getting a lot of those. And again, that's another sort of aggressor against the chill feeling that we're getting from the overall texture and sounds and feel of everything. Most things are really calm. It's just that we have these strange microtonal off notes, and then we have these false relations as well.
Silver hair and riddling.
Shortest phrase yet.
Safe, then love is the spectrum. Sweet like
Spectrum again.
I can't move.
Okay, so as we moved into this section, we got a little more drum, but that was really all the change, apart from the addition of the vocal again, giving that G and D figure. That is probably the signifier of our chorus, because we got something similar to that last time as well. So let's see if we get a chorus this time.
With you on my shoulders, I feel that I feel most.
Yeah, so we got that again, like we got before, with the over the top as well.
You are through with me on your shoulders. I can prove that I ate the most, 'cause I did.
Let's talk about the timbre of that high voice as well. It really feels like it's super tense and deliberately trying to be quiet, like me at the moment. I can't tell you the most I did. It's like really being restrained. Whereas the lower one is much calmer, but still quiet. It's such a curious kind of sound. There we've got that piano back again, and again it feels slightly out. It might actually be just that they're tuned slightly out from each other, those two, giving these chords, because they're no doubt playing the same thing, but it just sounds very sort of chorusy, and chorus is an effect you get from two things that are slightly out from each other. Interesting, we haven't had that guitar again. We've only had that in one section here so far. This sounds like a different melody, doesn't it? I'd like to fly, quite low.
I'd like to fly.
Melodies have all been very simple. The most elaborate one is that I ain't the most 'cause I did. And that's really only using 3 notes, maybe with 1 extra at the end there. And almost all of our melodies have been using the same notes. It's just that one in the middle, da, 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 where we've had the C and the E extra, so giving us most of that G Dorian scale. But all of the melodies have avoided the B and the B flat, which is our most sort of contentious note choice anyway, the one that has caused the most unusual things in the accompaniment.
I'd like to fly. I'd like to fly.
So is this a bridge, or is this a final section? Is this a terminal climax? We'll have to keep going to find out.
You can't move with me on your shoulders.
Okay, well that sounds like it's the beginning of a chorus again, but the changes are so subtle because really mostly the only thing that is changing is the melody. The melody is the only thing changing between these sections. There's subtle textural differences as well in some cases, like for instance we lost that high held note here, I think. Oh, actually maybe we didn't. Let's hear it again.
You can't move with me on your shoulders.
What's new there? I'm not even sure. But there's a textural change. And for the first time there, we actually lost the main piano thing. We didn't have that here. We just had those 2 notes up there with I feel most underneath. I feel most. Yeah, interesting. So that gives that sudden that section of 2 bars, it gives it this sudden different feeling, very much breaks you out of your stupor that you've been in, hypnotically listening to this the whole time. I think that's worth pointing out. It's textural changes against expectations, I suppose, although there's definitely a better way of describing that. Textural switch, I suppose. That's a bit of an ambiguous way. I don't know, it'll do. We know what we're talking about.
You are through with me on your shoulders. I can prove that I ate the most 'cause I did.
There's the guitar again. Maybe slightly more elaborate. Yeah, so the guitar feels a little more improvised. I do like an improvised feel. It's only in the guitar really, but it's there. It means that that the song feels much more alive. If there's nothing that you can tell is improvised, or at least free, at least chaotic, then you have a problem. The vocals themselves are a little bit chaotic, but you can tell that they are pretty well structured and deliberate. This guitar, less so. Yeah, so that. Something like that. Suddenly, the most rhythmically interesting thing of all appears in the last 30 seconds. So it makes sense to have this here because we've lost all the lyrics, so we've got something to hold on to as we disappear, rather than just letting everything softly sigh away. Yeah, you can really hear now that it's almost basically an A flat, and it disappears even that. And the guitar is giving us that 4th beat that nothing else is giving. So after the dun, 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 it gets something there. You know, does it work? It's a little issue. It's not massively important, but it's interesting how it goes against the rest of the things. But yeah, that's that song. That's I Hate the Most. I think the best song on the album. Yeah, it's got some good stuff about it. I don't think I have really anything else to add. So this is a really short video for me, but I hope that you enjoy it. Have a listen to the rest of the album if you feel so inclined, and yeah, keep coming back here if you like. I'll be doing more songs. I'll try and do at least one a week of something new released. You know, look, I might step it up at some point and I might start doing more and more, but it's hard. I find at the moment, you know, this isn't my source of income. I need to prioritize that and my family, and it causes me difficulty just generally. It makes me feel uncomfortable that when I'm not able to do this on time, like I haven't been able to for a few weeks. But nonetheless, you know, I'm going to keep attempting to get these things out, and I hope that you can bear with me. You know, if you want to give me some money, there is an option to do that, and that will at least make it seem like I should be spending more time doing this kind of thing. But regardless, have a lovely day, a lovely life, and keep listening to great music and that kind of stuff. Woo, yeah.